Hello, everybody. How are you all doing? I'm here to make another quick astrological video to explain to you some of the major transits and aspects that are happening this week. These aspects that I'm going to be talking about have been ongoing all week and are still building up. There's different parts of it that are uh, apexing at different moments, but all these aspects are within a tight orb of each other that have been lasting all week leading up to the Taurus new moon on April 27th. So we're just going to, I'm just going to talk about what some of these aspects are doing and how intense they can be for us at this time. So let me just get things in order here. And before I dive in, I want to remind you all that I do have a sale going on, lasting for a few more weeks. Use coupon code Shazam at checkout, and you will be able to save $50 for my reading. Uh, get $50 off a reading. Okay, so the major planets that we're going to talk about today are going to be Mars in Leo, Pluto in Capricorn, Black Moon Lilith in Scorpio, the Sun in Taurus. And we will side quest talking about the other planets as well, but this is the major aspect that is going on right now, leading into the new moon on April 27th, the Taurus new moon. Um, so this Mars-Pluto opposition is the third one that we are experiencing since last year, October. Okay. Generally, we only experience one Mars-Pluto opposition every 2 years. That's it, just once every 2 years. And we have experienced three in the last, how long has it been? 6 months, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, 7 months. We've experienced three. That is a lot of Mars-Pluto opposition going on. That's more than what we are used to experiencing because not every Mars retrograde is happening within 180-degree opposition to Pluto. The last Mars retrograde was in Gemini, which had no contact to Pluto, no major contact to Pluto. Um, Now the reason this allergy season, I get really bad allergies. Now the major, now the reason why this is so intense and significant is because Pluto, okay? Pluto is the planet of death, rebirth, and transformation. Pluto is the ruler, the god, the ruler that governs the underworld. Okay, in Greek mythology, Pluto is recognized as Hades, lord of the underworld. And the way I like to describe it is in astrology, the underworld is symbolic of our deep unconscious shadows, aspects of ourselves that we rather suppress and keep in the dark and hide away from ourselves and from other people. The underworld in astrology is deeply psychological, profoundly psychological. Also, Pluto and the underworld is where we keep our secrets, where we have certain obsessive desires and passions that are more edgy, that may carry certain types of shame or a taboo. And some of these things would be like pornography addiction, drug addictions, certain fetishes, certain obsessions that You would otherwise be embarrassed of having them out in the open, and these also get into the really, really, really darker types of forbidden taboos that we don't want to talk about, you know. Um, and though Pluto is the ruler, right? Though Pluto is the ruler and the gatekeeper of the underworld, the keeper of secrets, Pluto is keenly aware of everyone's deep psychological, unconscious mechanisms. Pluto is psychoanalytical. Now, Pluto also reveals what is kept hidden, reveals secrets, reveals lies and manipulations. And what comes with doing that is death and destruction and transformation. Because once something is brought into the light, once something is brought into our awareness, once the truth comes out, it then destroys and kills the false projections that were hiding the truth. Um, so like Pluto is that kind of energy that, when aspected in the correct way, will expose people or things in your lives that have been manipulating certain things behind your back, and it's like a devastating wake up call and realization of like, oh my gosh, I had no idea. I had no idea that excuse me, I had no idea that my uncle was fucking commingling funds and stealing my mother's inheritance. And now that the full truth, and I can see the truth of the lies and the manipulations that he has been, puppeteering years in advance before my grandfather passed. Now I can see the truth. And you know what? Is dead. Like our old relationship is dead. I like no, like I see it now. Like everything has changed, right? Our connection has changed. I have changed. He has changed. And now we really see each other for, who we are. I mean, he's still like fucking delusional and thinks he's hot shit and has done nothing wrong. But I'm like, no, 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 no more of this, can't get away stealing my mom's fucking inheritance. So this is what Pluto does, okay? It reveals things. And a lot of the things that Pluto reveals all of a sudden, a lot of the times they're not so shocking as if you had no single clue. A lot of the times when Pluto reveals things, they are things that you had a feeling about, things that you just knew something was off. Your intuition was telling you something was off, but you couldn't put your finger on it. And so then Pluto's that it will then tell you like, yeah, this is what it is. And it's like, And in ways you can be like, I knew it. And in other ways, it's like I had a fucking suspicious feeling, but I really didn't know what it was. So Pluto is no lightweight. Pluto is a heavyweight champion. Okay, Pluto does not fuck around. Um, now Mars, okay, Mars is not so much an intense Titan like Pluto, but Mars is definitely a planet that deserves respect. Mars is the god of war. Mars is the warrior. Mars is a masculine energy. If you look at the symbol of Mars, it's a circle and then a line with an arrow that projects outward. And that circle is like that gestation process of figuring out who you are, what your identity is, and what you want, and then outwardly directing that energy into action. Mars is a highly important planet to understand within your chart and within life because a big part of life is a yang energy. There's a balance of yin and yang, but yang energy is very important because nothing can happen without taking actions and moving outward into the world. So we simultaneously need to be magnetic and attract yin energy, feminine energy. We need to be magnetic and attract, but not always are the things that we're trying to attract are going to just fucking somehow enter our lives if you're just sitting on your ass being at home all day and you have all these desires. Oh, I want to meet this girl. Oh, I want to have this experience. I want to find this job. I want to make new friends. And it's like, okay, you're sitting on your ass trying to be magnetic, desiring these things, but you haven't gone out. You don't even leave the house. So there's this balance in how we attract things where we have to both be magnetic in um, commanding what it is we want to attract and then putting ourselves out there so that way it can find us as we are also trying to find it. So Mars is really important in life. And Mars governs sex, passion, the blood, our blood, iron. There's iron in our blood. Mars governs weaponry, mechanics, machines. Um, and the other thing that Mars governs is our ego, okay? Our masculine ego and how we assert ourselves in the world, okay? I have a Mars in Pisces, okay? So, in some ways, in some ways I can say I have a beta Mars, okay? I have I have a beta Mars, all right? And I fucking hate having to say that. But like that's kind of true. I have a Mars in Pisces, and that's Mars is sort of in a beta state in Pisces. Okay, doesn't mean that I have a weak masculine energy or no assertive drive or dominance. My Mars is in my fifth house, so that kind of balances it of it being in Pisces because the fifth house is a very assertive masculine domain. It's the domain where Leo comes from. So that I find a nice balance there. But a Mars in Pisces is very passive. It's very, very passive, and they work. They do most of that masculine assertive work first in the imaginary non-physical plane. Okay, so that's why a lot of Mars and Pisces people get misunderstood as lazy or apathetic at times because they're not as quick to jump the gun and taking action. Is because first they have to kind of go within, process emotionally what it is that they're about to do, and figure out in multiple different perspectives of what the potentialities of what they're wanting to create is. And then once they feel in alignment and they're like, okay, yeah, I'm ready for this. Boom. Because of the magical and mystical qualities of Pisces, it's like so many things serendipitously line up and the action almost is, the transitions between all the different actions towards what they've been creating internally are almost seamlessly. They're almost seamless and almost effortlessly with little blocks. Anyways, Mars, okay. The first Mars-Pluto opposition occurred last year in October. Fuck, I wish I written it down. Oh, actually, we got the chart, so we're gonna look at the charts, all right? This is a perfect time to pull up the charts. Fuck, I need to make sure I'm paying attention to the time too. Okay, so let's go back. We're gonna go back. Okay, here we are in October. Where is Mars? Okay. Oh, maybe it happened in November. Yeah, I'm glad we're doing this because it may have happened in November. Let's see. Um, yeah, okay. Let's go back. Okay, and drop in the comments, guys, like like a major story arc theme that you've been going through since last year, September, October. What sort of thing just happened and became this ongoing dramatic saga in your life? Okay, so we're looking at early November is when the first opposition happened. And the reason why this first opposition is so profound is because it happened at 29-degree Cancer, 29-degree Pluto, Mars and Pluto. Now, um, when Mars and Pluto are in oppositions, it's very intense because we're having Mars, the warrior, okay, the masculine energy full of ego, bravado, and passion, and not afraid of conflict. Mars is not afraid of saying, no, 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 no. I don't fucking like that. You better put some respect on my name, God damn it. And Pluto is edgy. It's the edgy dark lord of like, you think you can intimidate me, Mars? I know your secrets. I know what you did last summer. I know what it is you really want. And I know why you are behaving this way. And it has nothing to do with what you think it is. Allow me to show you who you really are and how you are really acting, young Mars. And Mars is like, fuck you, Pluto. Put some damn respect on my name, okay? And if I say I don't want to fucking do it that way, then we're not gonna do it that way. We're gonna do it this way. And Pluto's like, boom, mirror, you know, look at yourself. And Mars looks at the mirror and squeals, and it's like, that's not me. And what Mars sees in the mirror is a sad little child that is crying, that is like crying, broke down and beaten and scared and scared. Little Mars is scared, and that's why he has to overcompensate with, more bravado and trying to assert dominance. So he has some sense of control. And that's really intense. So, long story short, Mars Pluto oppositions is a battle of ego and will. And what makes it intense is because, Mars carries the elements of fighting. I'm gonna fight. I'm gonna fight, and my ego is engaged. So, I can only see this much, and it's about me. And Pluto is death. Okay. Pluto is death, intensity, and the underworld getting ready to expose what's really going on. So Mars Pluto oppositions is really intense because it's like in one way, all of our egos have been activated, right? Our egos are activated. We're sort of self-centered. We're sort of more concerned about how we're feeling, about what we want, about things going on. But then Pluto is like, no, you need to really assess on a deeper level because the way you're behaving is unacceptable, and I'm trying to teach you. So we can stare at each other all day long, and you can throw the biggest tantrum, little Mars, but until you calm down and settle and understand that you're acting and behaving like a little child, we're not going to get anywhere. And that's really intense. And the first Mars Pluto opposition happened last year in November in Cancer and Pluto before Mars entered Leo and Pluto entered Aquarius. So one of the reasons why this is very important is because Pluto has been in Capricorn since 2008. So for 16 years plus or so, a couple months or a year, Pluto has been moving in the sign of Capricorn from 0 degrees all the way to 29 degrees. It's taken from 2008 all the way to 2024 to reach this point. This is a long fucking story arc of Pluto and Capricorn, which means every time a planet was transiting through Cancer, that planet had to go through the intense overbearing pressure of death of Pluto trying to purify and transform the Cancerian areas of our chart. So this means, this is so profound because right before Pluto finally enters Aquarius, we have one final major lesson to go through and integrate in terms of this Cancer and Capricorn uh, access in our lives. And with the Mars and Cancer, this is bringing up ancestral things because Cancer is the sign that comes from the fourth house that represents home, family, safety and security, the mother connection, the womb mother connection. Mars. I mean, Cancer governs the womb, the stomach, the breast, the feed, the milk, the baby, the nurturing. And Mars, I mean, and Cancer in the fourth house governs memories, nostalgia. But it goes even beyond just having nostalgia of walking into the kitchen and smelling fresh baked cookies and thinking of your childhood with grandma. It goes beyond that. It goes deeper into the memories of your ancestors that get passed through the womb and the matriarch of your family, one generation down to the next. It's very profound. And remember, Mars governs the blood. Okay, the blood, the iron, and in blood and in water, Cancer being a water sign, it contains memories, the DNA memories. Now, this Mars Cancer transit having to go through its very last Pluto opposition in the Cancer axis domain that we're ever going to experience in our lifetime, it was the activation to go through a final boss battle of karma clearing and soul lesson integration and changing destiny and sort of having to move through fated events that are intense and kind of destructive in other ways. But the things that are destroying are things that are false, that no longer bear any life in it, and so it has to shed and decay away. Now, one of the reasons why this Mars and Cancer transit has been so intense is because we're gonna look at the chart again. So Mars first entered Cancer sometime in September. Okay. Um, yeah, Mars entered Cancer sometime in September. Boom, boom. Is this too far? Where are we? Mars. Okay. So early September, Mars entered Cancer. All right. I want you to look at this Mars that's here. I mean, in this chart, it's at 9 degrees Cancer. But you see, back then, last year, the North and the South Node were still in North Node Aries, South Node Libra. Okay. And, you know, as soon as Mars, it didn't take long from when Mars entered Cancer to form a direct T square to the South Node in Libra and the North Node in Aries. Okay. And what is also profound about this is look at where Black Moon Lilith was at that time. Black Moon Lilith was conjunct the South Node in Libra. Okay. I made a few posts and videos last year in September, like right before I went on my honeymoon cruise, talking about some of the ways that this can unfold in our lives. Okay. So the reason why I'm showing you that Mars T square to the North and South Node that occurred last September is because the North and South Node govern fate and destiny. This is past and future. This is karma and the unknown. Okay. And when we have planets that directly form a T square to the north and south node, that planet moves its energy to impact that line of the north and south node. In that impact, what it does is it affects both the future and the past, where the past gets open, okay, portals open from the past, and there's specific vibrations of what is allowed to come through, and it's all dependent on what planet is forming that T square, and this is Mars in Cancer. And so Karma has opened from that South Node in Libra conjunct Black Moon Lilith to be activated and bleed into scenarios of our here and now, but also to this to the square to the North Node, the things that the scenarios that created in a way are predestined. In a way are predestined. Now how are some ways things can be predestined? Okay. Things that we don't think about can be predestined. I will give you an example to my life. Okay. So in my life, and this can apply to so many people, right? I have a family, right? I was born into a family, okay? And we're gonna talk about my mother, okay? My mother and my grandfather and my uncle and my aunt, right? And my uncle, I mean, my grandfather, he was a smart person. He, wasn't super rich, but he was very smart with his money and made investments and bought a house in the 50s that, because of the location in Los Angeles, increased in value over the years, okay? And I never really thought about all of this stuff. I never really thought about, the legacy my grandfather will leave behind, how that's going to get broken up between, his kids and all of that sort of stuff. But, now that he's passed, there's sort of a predestined dramatic saga that has always been waiting to happen and was going to happen no matter what. And that was the and that is the dispute of having to talk to my uncle about, hey, what are you doing with that money? How are you managing my mom's trusts, right? This is sort of a predestined event. It was meant to happen no matter what. You know what I mean? So and that opened up the drama, that opened up the karma, right? Of the past and the destiny. This was going to happen no matter what. And now that it's happening, there's a whole lot of karma from the past that is woven into this. And I need to sort this out. I need to work through this. And you need to work through it too. But you're running and you're hiding and you're being a fucking cowardice bitch. Um, so, very intense, this Mars Cancer transit, because it triggered a lot. And with Mars being in Cancer, remember, Cancer being home, family, and the ancestral energy and the mother, Cancer represents the mother archetype or the feminine archetype. So one of the things that I started saying last year is like certain dramas can be triggered within family dynamics where the mother or the wife or the feminine archetype of the family is a major central point. I have a friend, won't mention his name or anything like that, but literally when this square happened, and he was a Libra, he was born with a Libra and a Saturn in Aries, 1968. So when this square happened, like major drama broke out between him and his wife. Okay, and so it happens in a lot of different ways. Now he's going through a divorce, and his wife is like really this is the word, vindictive of him not wanting to work through the issues. It's not my drama, not my drama. I don't know all the details, but it's like I'm like, damn, bro, this is so crazy that you're going through that because it's literally happened right when this square occurred. Okay. And then there were certain major boss battles, right? And the first major boss battle was this. Okay. Was this of what I showed you already? The square, the Mars square. And it's like, this is like the epic battle of like being like, you know what? This isn't working. Um, I'm going to leave. And it's like, what? How dare you leave? And then once we get to the first square, the first fucking square, I mean the first opposition, the first opposition occurred with Mars in Cancer, 29 degrees, and Pluto in Capricorn, 29 degrees. Then this was like the moment of like, okay, I moved out. I've been moved out for about a month now, and there are certain things that I need to get from my house. Um, there are certain things that I need to get from my house, but my wife has kind of locked me out and won't let me come pick up my things unsupervised. I'm gonna go. I fuck it. I can't do this. Like my life is on hold. There's important things I need to get from that house for my business. So I'm gonna go to that house. So then he goes to that house and it becomes a super major fucking drama where the cops get called. There's a fucking the charges are pressed and it's a big issue. And then boom, that was the second layer of the boss battle of like, fuck, this is turning into one really, really nasty separation divorce process. And then we go into this fucking we go into the second Mars Pluto opposition, which occurred in January, and this time it was at 1 degree Leo, 1 degree, um, 1 degree Aquarius. So now we're dealing with a different energy. Okay, we're still dealing with Mars Pluto opposite, which is a battle and the clash of the ego and willpower, and having to go through the underworld and really, really seeing the core psychoanalytical mechanics of the problems going on here and bringing the shadow into the light. And so for my friend, right, it was literally like right around this time, the second Mars Pluto opposition, where guess what happened? Court has to show up to court. There's a court date. Now I got to go to court. I got to be on stage. I got to testify my part of the story. And so it's like, you know, he had to be the center of attention. Mars and Leo. I am me. I'm now here in the center of attention of this drama. There's a jury. There's the people that have pressed the charges on me. There's the judge. And now either like I have to tell my side of the story, and either all of these people are going to hate me and side with my wife, or they're going to see that this is a crazy fucked up situation and they'll drop the charges or whatever, you know. So now that's the second boss battle, right? Fuck. Court. It's now in higher hands, and this is how it evolves with the Pluto in Aquarius. Pluto in Aquarius is Aquarius is community. It's the public eye, groups and other people. Aquarius is also social media, social media, um, things of that nature, where there are a collective, a hive mind of people, groups or clubs, like the LGBTQ. That's a club, that's a community of a hive mind, right? What about the bird watching society? Same thing. Bird watching, that's a community, that's a club, right? So the second opposition, it was intense because the first one was like, boom, it was karma was involved. There's a lot of primal ancestral energy into it, and a lot of shit. I'm spacing out what I'm trying to say, but the second Mars Pluto opposition, this is more intense. This is where things are getting more intense. And now we are about to move into the third fucking the third and final Mars Pluto opposition. Okay. This is nuts, y'all. Um, the saga is coming to an end. All right. So this is April 24th. That would be tomorrow, Thursday. And this third and final Pluto Mars opposition is happening in Aquarius, 3 degrees, Pluto in Aquarius, 3 degrees, and Mars and Leo, 2 degrees. Okay. I mean, 3 degrees. My apologies. So check this out. Okay. Um, the sun has recently entered Taurus just a few days ago. And we see here on this day, April 24th, the sun is at 4 degree Taurus. But if we look at it today, if we look at where the sun is today, boom, it's at 3 degrees. Okay. So the sun all week has been within a forming and apexing a T square between this Pluto Sun opposition. This is really intense. But wait, there's more. Look at where Black Moon Lilith is now, too. Scorpio at 3 degrees. So you see this red line, this fucking box here, this box with this fucking cross. All right, that's intense. This is what's called a grand fixed cross. And the reason why it's called a fixed cross is because the signs that are playing in this geometric pattern, are the four fixed signs: Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, Aquarius. And the fixed signs are the signs that are the most tenacious, the most determined, and the most stubborn and patient in what they want, in what they're doing. Okay, the fixed signs are unyielding, unmoving. They're very stubborn. It's hard for them to um, open up to any kind of other possibility or perspective but their own. They're very strong-willed. And so during this third and final Mars-Pluto opposition, we're now also having the Sun in Taurus and Black Moon Lilith interfacing with this saga here. So this is the final boss battle of this Mars transit here, this Mars-Pluto fucking epic drama going on. Now, I can't use examples of my friend because I don't know any updates since that court date that happened. Um, but I would imagine that now there's another that I like maybe the court, let's never mind. I can't get too much into the, hypothetical, but God damn it, I'm gonna have to go soon too. Uh, curse my Gemini abilities of just talking and talking and talking. Um, and my Mars is my I mean my Mercury is in Taurus, so like I need a long methodical approach and just get into the point. Anyways, so this is very intense, okay? This is very, very intense. And again, Mars and Pluto opposition, as I was saying before, this is and now they're in fixed signs. So this is ego and willpower that wants to dominate each other, and it's going to be very hard for opposite parties to be on the same page. And everyone is going to be more in their own feelings that they're not really thinking about where you're coming from or anything like that. It's very self-centered. And now with the sun and Taurus, this squaring this is going to really increase the intensity of wanting to hold your ground, of not wanting to budge, of really being stubborn in your point, and the battling of going back and forth is literally going nowhere. This is not a week to try to solve things at all. And then we have the Black Moon Lilith and Scorpio. Okay, Black Moon Lilith and Scorpio. This is a lot on its own. I should make a separate video talking about the Black Moon Lilith transit in Scorpio. I was born with Black Moon Lilith in Scorpio, conjunct my Pluto in Scorpio, conjunct my Juno in Scorpio, conjunct my rising sign in Scorpio. I know this. I know this Black Moon Lilith in Scorpio because I had to learn the intensity of the shadow and darkness of Scorpio and Black Moon Lilith during my younger years. This is really dark and intense type of energy. And with a Black Moon Lilith transiting through Scorpio right now, this will arise a lot of fear and anticipation that something destructive may happen soon. Okay, the Black Moon Lilith in Scorpio is kicking it up a notch. All right, so I'm gonna use myself as an example, and unfortunately, oh, it's 11:11. I'm gonna have to come to an end. Look at my beautiful wife. I love her so much. I'm gonna have to come to a close, but hopefully, this personal story can kind of tie it all together and what it is I've been trying to say here. So, I'm currently in a legal dispute with my uncle who stole my mother's inheritance and is full of shit. Um, my grandfather passed last year in April. Rest his soul. I love him very much. You know, um, and my grandfather left a very specific, detailed, written trust and a will that was, legally binded with the courts and a lawyer, putting my uncle as the trustee to be in charge because Everyone knew my mom has a drug problem and hangs around with shitty people. But what no one ever foresaw was that I, being the amazing person that I am, was going to step into my mom's life and pull her out of the streets and save her life and give her a second chance at life being more pure and whole. And she's been clean and sober for the last 5 years since I've been taking care of her, right? And and my grandfather has passed. And I've trusted I put the benefit of the doubt into my uncle. Before my grandfather passed, I started asking some questions like, "Hey, I'm gonna be taking my mom with me from California to North Carolina. We've never talked about this before, but what does my mom has to look forward to in terms of inheritance and blah blah blah? Because, I'm gonna need to know what she has because she's gonna need those resources for me to help take care of her, right?" And he started getting all weird, trying to push me away, telling me that I'm like gold digging and after my own interests, and that shit pissed me the fuck off. And because I never once in my entire life, swears it, fucking had any kind of like fishing ideas about my grandfather and his money and all of that sort of stuff. Could have cared, give two fucking shits because I was too busy processing my own fucking trauma to think about that and to just kind of hang this carrot over my head. Anyways, things got intense for us during that time, but then we got onto a same page and he started being more open, letting me in. But then once my grandfather actually did pass and everything was available to my uncle to manage, instead of creating two separate trusts as the will was written, one for my mom, one for my uncle, he put everything all into his personal fucking checking account, all right? All this money, and was just kind of spending it and giving it away. And I don't know what the fuck else he was doing with it, but it's basically all gone. And my mom has only received a small portion of it over the year. And in November, literally November 3rd, the very first Mars and Pluto opposition happened. My uncle sends me a text and he's like, "Hey nephew, you're supposed to be sending me this much money a month and it's the third and you haven't sent it. What's going on? And plus, I'm hearing rumors that you're trying to buy an RV and do all this other stuff. And how are you able to buy an RV when you owe me all this money?" And I'm like, whoa, what the fuck? First off, I have not bought an RV yet. I'm thinking about one. So whoever is fucking snooping into my business and spreading fucking rumors to you, they need to shut the fuck up. And second, I get paid in a couple days, and that's what I was going to send a payment. But also, you're wrong in how much you think I owe you. And also, who do I owe? Do I owe you or do I owe my mom? Okay, because my truck broke down and I needed a new fucking engine and tires and everything. And so, my uncle fronted me the money to get all that fixed, and it was a lot of fucking money. But he was way off in all the numbers of everything. And I'm like, you know what? You're way fucking off. This is huge wrong math that you're doing, and now I'm concerned. Um, and it's within my mother's rights and my rights as her power of attorney to now ask you for a report of all the spendings going on. And I need to see, my mom's separate accounts. He starts getting all fucking crazy on me, super fucking crazy on me. And and then after going back and forth and fighting a lot, he finally started to kind of break down a little bit. And I was like, you really thought that as long as you can just keep sending my mom a measly $600 a month that you can get away with keeping it all, right? That's what you were thinking. And he admitted to that. He was like, yeah, I wrongly did think that so long as I can just budget that money for as long as she lives, it's okay. And it's like, dude, she has a family. She has kids. What about what she wants to do? What about when she wants to leave behind? You're just gonna keep it all? Anyways, it got really fucking intense. And he wasn't cooperating with us. I'm like, I need to see the accounting. I need to see proof that you paid the capital gains tax. I need to see the fucking receipts of my grandfather's bill in hospice. I need to see everything, how much you sold the house for, the bill of sale, all of it. I need some real fucking accounting. And he's like, "Oh, I don't have that. I don't keep receipts. I don't keep I didn't keep track of anything. It's, but I did buy about 50 grand worth of baseball cards and silver coins." And I'm like, "The fuck, are you 12 years old? Fucking baseball cards? Might as well buy some fucking Pokemon cards too while you're at it, you know?" And he wasn't cooperative with us, right? And so this is that battle of the ego and the will and the truth that needs to come up, and then the total destruction, right? This my whole family, the previous structural family relations that I had with my uncle on that side of my family, destroyed, fucking gone. There's no more, there's no rebuilding it unless he can fucking really come in a humble manner and show some respect man to man. You know what I'm saying? So by the end of January, December, right? By the end of December, January, sorry, at the turn of the new year going into 2025, I had to hire a lawyer. Okay. Had to hire a lawyer and petition and sue the motherfucker. Okay. That's the second Mars Pluto opposition, right? At the start of the month, the court date happened. He didn't show up to court. He didn't show up to court. And with all the paperwork, the judge was like, "Oh yeah, this dude's committing fraud. He commingled funds. He acted out of line as a trustee. Blah blah blah. Yeah, no, I'm removing him as trustee. And here's what we need to do to move forward." And that very night or the next day, I get an email from the lawyer I hired. He's like, "So John hired a lawyer, and it's not a bad thing, it's a good thing. And they want to settle with you outside of court through mediation to save everybody some money." So, this is very intense because the focal point, right? The focal point of this dynamic is my mom, right? Mars in Cancer. And we had that square to the north and south node, a predestined fated event that brought on a dramatic saga that is necessary to go through to clear out the karma. Okay. And the karma is connected to my mom being adopted into this family and being horrifically, physically, mentally, and emotionally abused by the mother of that family that adopted her because she was an alcoholic. And like my mom went through some fucked up shit. Like she would be pulled out of bed in the middle of the night when her adopted mother was on a binger and hold her head under the shower, waterboarding my mom, and then give her fucked up, ugly haircuts and make her go to school so she can be made fun of all fucking day in the 70s growing up, and continuously in the household being told that, she's an unwanted, unloved child, and that's why her biological parents gave her up. Okay, like my mom was tortured, all right? And she ran away from home at age 15. And my mom, she got into the gang life. She was like, "Yeah, I'm a pretty white, valley girl, but I'm more attracted to the underdog, edgy, Mexican gang area." So she got hooked on drugs. She joined gangs. She started having too many kids at a very young age, and experienced more trauma out in the streets living her life. And what's fucked up is that all the kids she birthed like six kids. I'm her only son. She birthed like five girls, one boy. Two of them she gave up for adoption, and the other three, all of those kids, except for the ones given up for adoption, literally carbon repeat of the same bullshit. Okay. Two of my sisters both got pregnant at age 14. All right. One sister has five kids. Another sister has like three or four. And then my youngest sister has two kids, also had babies in her teens. Right. And it's just been this repeat of like poverty, sexual abuse, having children, and their children having problems. And it's like, whoa, this is some serious karma here. This is some serious self-perpetuating karma here. I need to break this. I need to break this fucking cycle, right? And this inheritance that my mom was going to receive was supposed to be retribution for the shit that my mom went through, never asking for it, right? An innocent child being adopted and brought into a home and being treated that way, right? Yeah, there was some love. Like my grandfather is the closest person to a saint that I could ever think of. It wasn't perfect, but fucking he was the only person that I'd ever seen actually continuously try to be a good person in the world. Um, I miss him. So this is fucking really intense. And as I'm having, then I had to rapidly mature, right? I had to rapidly mature and no longer be a child because there were parts of me that were stuck in this dynamic of like, well, I'm the nephew and he's the uncle and he's the older, wiser person who's now in charge and grandpa left him and I should oblige and just be grateful for whatever we did receive, right? And I had to grow up in understanding my own value, my own self-respect, the value and respect that my mother deserves, that my family deserves, and really rise up and mature as a man and as a warrior and say, no, this is not right, and you are not to get away with this, right? And that was really intense because it was painful for me. This is my family. This is my uncle. I don't want to do this, right? But this can't go on without justice. This can't go on without it being cleared up, right? We're talking a pretty good amount of change here, okay? Uh, yeah, so this is what's been going on. And with the Black Moon Lilith brings it increases the intensity by bringing in the possibility of death. All right, the possibility of transition, being on the fine line of crossing over into death. All right, and sadly, my mom has been in the hospital for like the last 2 weeks, and I had a dream two weeks ago, or no, a week ago, when my mom was in the hospital. And in the dream, my grandfather FaceTimed me on phone. He FaceTimed me and he said, "Your mom is dead." He didn't say dying. He said, "Your mom is dead." And I woke up like fucking freaking out, like, what the hell? What the fuck? And my mom didn't die. And I called her and she was crying and she told her that the doctor said she's dying. Okay. This is really intense. This is really, really intense, heavy shit. I've been dealing with this for the last few weeks. Um, and my uncle has no idea. He doesn't even fucking care. And if he watches this video, fuck you. And my mom doesn't even want to talk to you. All right. So now there's this possibility hanging over, right? And it's really intense. And I've been going through a lot emotionally, carrying all this weight of my family karma, my mom being really connected to my mom and all the things she's gone through in her life. And it's very intense, but it's also extremely beautiful at the same time. And I was able to have the honor and privilege, the true humble honor and privilege to do this work for my family, to do this work and be of service for my mother. And I don't know what outcome is going to be of anything, but I know that through every action I've taken, I have been supported by my ancestors. I have been supported by the universe, by God, in the actions that I've taken to pull my mom out of the streets, to do the best I can to take care of her. And my whole intention was I can't I can't be at peace knowing I can't be at peace with my mom dying on the fucking streets with or in some fucking ghetto trap house full of other people stuck in the 80s. Like my mom is too innocent of a soul of a being to die that way. I'm not going to allow it. And that's why I stepped in. I took her off the streets. I kicked those people out of the house. Literally, like, showed up to the drug dealer's house and was like, stay the fuck away from my family, stay the fuck away from my mom, and don't ever show your faces to my grandfather's house. ever, you know? Like I was fucking serious shit. I was even calling up all the old homies like, yo, dude, you strapped, man? Because I'm about to pull up to this fucking crackhead trap house and I'm fucking, you know, and they're like, dude, I don't know, man. Like I'll come and back you up, but like, you know, like, yeah, like, you know, if something happens, like I'm gonna fucking pop one off. And, you know, and that's a funny thing too. It's like, you know, like never mind. I don't want to go on a rant there, but you know, um and I'm not the only one. There are so many people that I've seen in on social media and people that I know that have gone through their own dramatic story arc at the same time as this began. And a lot of it is super similar. Something about the mom, something about people passing over, something about inheritance in some way or another, or something about not being able to, not no longer compatible in a relationship anymore, and things have to break apart and go different directions. We've all been going through this, okay, in a number of different ways. Um, so I just wanted to give you that piece of astrology that intensity is real right now. And this is not a week, you know, the rest of the month is not really a time to force your will upon others, to try to get your point across, to try to make another person see that you're right, or any of those sort of or any of that sort of stuff, because even the most timid, shy person is going to have more passion behind holding their own ground at this time, which will shock a lot of people because if you're someone that generally bullies, or if you're someone that's used to having your way because the people in your life are just kind of like, whatever, like I'm just kind of, you know, fine. I don't have the energy to like argue with it. Well, now those types of people will suddenly have the energy to argue with you. And it's likely if they've never really argued back, there's going to be a lot of deeper passion and rage coming out in that. And it's just going to be it's just going to be a comical battle of ego and willpower, and really no one's going to have their way. And if someone folds and say, all right, fuck it, you can have your way, and I'll, you know, it's fine, and I don't even care anymore. Don't buy that bullshit, okay? Because that energy is just going to go back in, all right? And so, yeah, it's a lot right now. All right, with that being said, I do have to go. Yeah, I hope this was a helpful video for you all. All right, peace.